Hey y'all, appreciate y'all joining me today for part 2 of the first impressions on the Solaris Vision. Today we're going to be going through the built-in edge-to-edge designs on it. I'm going to be using a monster snap hoop that I really like. I'll show that off a little bit. You can use whatever hoop you do like to do these designs, which I'll show you the different ones. I'll show you how to pick which hoop you want to use, show you how to put in the dimensions of your quilt, how easy it is, and how the machine really does most of the work for you. So I'm going to bring you over here and we'll get started. Alright, so first thing we gotta do is pull up our design. Go under embroidery. It's in this bottom left right here, as long as you got the Solaris Vision or the Solaris Vision upgrade for your Solaris. It's got a little Q on it. It's number 4. And then it's gonna display all 10 of the different designs they offer. So, got some pretty good ones on here. I'm gonna go with these stars. Hit set. And this screen's gonna be where you pick the dimensions of your quilt or panel or whatever you're doing. So you just have to pre-measure it, make sure you get your vertical horizontal measurements correct, and then pick your hoop. So I'm gonna enter mine here. I'm gonna go a little under, that way I don't have to be so exact when I'm doing this video. But to make the most of your fabric, you'll want to get the exact measurements. And then pick what hoop you want. I'm using the largest hoop. I'm gonna be using a dime magnetic hoop. I've used those a lot for different edge-to-edge designs. I'm real comfortable with it, really like that option. So once you've verified everything's good here, if you do want to change your hoop size, you just select these different options. And then you hit next. Then it's going to show your designs here, and you can change some colors and whatnot here. I'm just going to go with it, and we're going to hit memory. And then it tells you that it was saved into the machine's memory, which you can find here. If for some reason you don't go there, you go to embroidery and you go to your pocket, and it's going to be right here for you. I've got a couple of things in here that I've played around with, but this right here is our most recent, and these are the different designs. So you click on this first one, you hit set, and now it's going to show you where you want to place your hoop. It's going to give you a little explanation of why, so we're going to hit OK. You are able to adjust the cant a little bit, which is cool. So like if you're doing something that's triangular, I guess you can get around, get away with doing that. Or if as you go along you get a little bit off, you can use that feature for that, which is pretty cool. So hit OK. It's yelling at me to attach the frame. Alright, so now it's going to be where we can position it. So obviously this is going to show you where you want to position your projector, and then up here is where you're going to move it. So I'm going to move this camera over here so you can see the projector, and then I'm going to move it around and get it in place for us. Alright, so here you can see our design, and I'm going to move it pretty much all the way to my top left corner. Alright, so now we got our design here. You can move with those other little border buttons if you'd like, and it'll show you different positions of it just to make sure everything looks good and everything will clear for you. That's going to be more important when we get to the second one and all the other ones that come after it. So I got some pink thread loaded on here so you can really see it. Once you've gotten to that point, it's good, we're going to hit OK. Gonna tell you this is where you can cant rotate everything. I don't feel like we need to do any of that, so I'm just gonna OK and bypass it. And now this should look pretty normal to you. This is just your normal embroidery screen. So I'm gonna get everything set up, I'm gonna run it, and I'll see you after we stitch. Alright, so now that's finished, it sings to you, it tells you everything's done, embroidery finished, OK to connect to next pattern. So it's pretty cool. It actually brings up the next one for you. So you don't have to worry about pulling up a new design or anything like that. Pulls up the one that's going to connect to it, shows you a diagram, tells you where to put it. Okay. Tells you can can it. Okay. Alright, so that's where that's going to be. So what I like to do is I take the magnetic hoop. You can remove it, or sometimes if I can, on big machines I like to just kind of lay it over here so I can position this around. It might be hard to see in this video, especially my arm in the way. The projector is showing you the connection point. It's right here. I'll try and get that for you in a second. And that's going to show you where to line your intail right there. You're going to put that green crosshair right on top of it. I'm going to get this in position and then I'll show you all that good stuff. Alright, so I got everything lined up, and just so you can kind of see it, it's almost like just a little arrow that shows you where you need to line this off tail to. That's the last place it's stitched. So once you got that all lined up, you're going to be good. You can check your areas over here with everything. Make sure your top's lined up and everything is where you want it. And we can go through here. It's going to ask us if we want to rotate anything. I'm good with it right now. And we're ready to stitch. Alright, that's done with the step 2. One cool thing to notice that I like that it does is you'll notice these little arrows that it does at the bottom of each design. That's going to make sense once we go to the second level here. But for now it's saying we're done. We can move on to the next one and drop in our little arrow. I'm going to get this thing disassembled and show you what we got. Alright, so I'm trying to zoom in here so you can see the process, but this is a little green arrow. And up here is where we want it to connect. So I'm just going to move these arrows, because I always like to make sure that I get a full coverage, if possible, of my hoop over the whole quilt. That way you don't run into any tension issues or anything popping out. Just like that, you want to line it up perfect to where that little arrow is pointing right at it, maybe even overlapping a little bit. That way you get a good coverage. And once you do, you're ready to start rolling through these. I'm still good, don't need to cant it or anything. Now that one is done, that's our last one in that row, it changes the diagram up here, which is pretty cool. So it shows you that you need to start far left, one rack down, and we're going to be lining up to these little arrows they made. So I'm going to reposition you and let you check that out. Alright, once you're finished up here, it's kind of business as usual. We're going to OK. It's going to load the next one, show you your position. And again, we're just going to connect to our little offshoot here, just like we did on the top. So I'm going to do a couple more of those. And so that's all there really is to it. It's really easy. The machine does a lot of the work. You just punch in some numbers and make sure you're moving around. That's why I really like the Monster Snap Hoops by Dom. This is the big one for the Solaris. It makes it really easy. I try to put a little time lapse in there so you can see me just moving stuff around. You're able to slide it over, put your magnetic hoop back, and it's pretty simple. And the results are really nice. It definitely looks like it was like quilted on a long arm. You know, as you get better at it, and as I get better at it, you'll have better luck connecting the lines. But even at some of my worst spots, it's really not that far off. I think I was looking, and this was probably one of the worst ones. Hope you can see it in there. It's right there. Just a little bit of gappage. But I'm really happy with it. I look forward to playing around with more of that. That's one of the cooler features. So I got some other stuff I want to do videos on in the future, hopefully. Y'all stay tuned for part 3. We'll see you then.